Ah, wow. Look at that. Look at that. I wanted to say something in French. Voila, 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 voila. Wow. S'il vous plaît. Rochelle White. Of course, Rochelle White. Of course. C'est déjà vous. Voilà, ça va. No, voila. Of course, some non-born. No. Of course. That is Rochelle White. She has to be the first. Adeleke Adeniyi. This Adeleke Adeniyi, I've got to find out who he is. I want to find out what he's doing, because he's been so constant. I want to find out what has he done with the teachings, and how many teachings has he listened to, and what's he doing with it? Because you cannot be so constant, and I don't see your fruits. I want to know about his life. Okay, and I've invited him to write to me one day, but I'm still waiting for that letter. Oh, look who came. Jacob Saleh. Nice to see you, Jacob. Blessing. We are going to have another wonderful program today. Okay, we have Adeola Disu, of course. That's our hero here. Innocent Magaji, Ravele has all of a sudden become a constant. Flora Ibrahim. I will not be surprised if Ravele will be coming to Ukraine soon. Patty Pat, Onyiye Okoro, Anastasia McDonald. Anastasia, I tried to call you today on your messenger, but you are nowhere to be found. Molly B, you are questioning one of my thoughts. Somebody quoted my word somewhere. I forgot what quotation in particular, and you are challenging it. I said, oh, it's a pity. You are challenging it on the Facebook and not on my page, so I couldn't even answer you. Why don't you write me about it? I would have explained to you the truth, the second side of it that the person didn't write. Ushe Nwadike. Okay. Ustia Ali. Ebenezer Oyedeji. Emmy Doris. Ernest Erbong. Oriyomi. Mesonge, Shinwe, Ayotunde Odusanya, Jide Balogo, Godwin Ibekwe, Irene, Eme, Yomi Jegede, Jide Olajule, Valentina Shabanu, good evening, Dobre Veshe Daraga, Olushegu Afolabi, MJ, Afolabi Michael, Ebenezer Oyedeji, Funke Raji, Maiken, Clemsy, Arit, Olayinka Adeyemo, Ebenezer, Bishop Richard Eberige, Susanna, Esther Kuganja. Oh, Wale Banjoko, that's my cousin there. Jane Munsaka, Isaiah Taylor. Well, welcome everyone. Monica, welcome for joining us. Well, here we go. We have been for a week now. First of all, I want to congratulate you for, I said you should be thanking God for the problem that I have in Ukraine, for my lawsuit. You should all be thanking God for my lawsuit. Because if not for this, my lawsuit, there is no way for me to sit down in one place and be doing program every day. I wouldn't have been sitting there in one place in Ukraine. Or even my own family couldn't see me sitting there in Ukraine. So, but thank God to this lawsuit. So today I had a program before this one, which was an hour, maybe an hour ago, and it says problems, your shortcut to prominence. Problems, your shortcut to prominence. And in my own case, problems is the key. Every time, there is nothing I've done easy. Everything I've done is always through problems. And I'm looking at this program now. If not for this Facebook, if not for problems, I wouldn't have even started this Facebook page. And I'm thinking about it and I'm saying, okay, this series on truth, there is no way I would have talked about it. Not just this series, many series that I've dealt with. I have them in my notebook. There was no time for it. And I never knew that. And I'm so grateful to God myself because, can you believe it? I'm 50, I'm getting old. And I have so much to tell the world and I have so much to release to the world that I'm actually afraid that I don't have enough years left to give to the world everything that I've got. And I'm so thankful to this problem because if not this problem that I have in Ukraine, I won't have written so many books. I won't have been doing these programs. And I'm so happy doing this now that I don't even want to travel anymore, even when I have the time to travel, apart from going to Nigeria. All the people sending their invitation, I said, forget about it. I'm only interested in Nigeria and, in releasing all that is in me. Right now, it's going to be a very sad thing if I die. Because if I die right now, unlike my friend, Dr. Miles Monroe, that says he was ready, he was empty, he had already succeeded in emptying himself. I have not emptied myself at all. I have not even scratched the surface. I have so much to give to the world that I think everything I've given so far is just like 1%. So I don't stand a chance to even make it. I think I need to do some extra work to be able to give so much that I wish to give to the world. But this is one of the important ones that I really wanted to share with the world, the understanding of truth. And I was talking to some people before I put on this broadcast, and I was thinking, even on the truth alone, I have so much to share. It might last us for like 3 months. And Kate was thinking, maybe I should do it twice a day, talking about this topic of truth twice a day. I said, but what is the good of it? If I do it twice a day, I'm not sure you will be able to digest all that so fast, because like I did last year. I think one time a day is easier. If I do it twice a day, I'm not sure. I think it will be too much load from people. So, but I might need to do this topic of truth like for 2 months or 3 months. Can you imagine it? And I want to take my time to do it, but maybe I will not do everything. Maybe I will just share a few things. But if I need to share as much as I know, it will take like that much. The same with the financial series. I did that for 2 months, 3 months, but that's only like, that's still not all I know to share. All the topics I've been sharing is still not all. It's just a fragment of it that I've shared. But so this level of truth, anybody wants to participate? If you've been here this week and you've listened to all this series, I want to invite all of you who are willing to come forward I want you to come forward and stand behind me and let's discuss. There are 2 questions I would like us to answer. First of all, the whole concept of truth that we have learned about this whole week. And I want to hear what do you think that is doing to you personally? And what do you think that could do to the larger society? That's number 1. Number 2, I would also like us to talk about the 5th level of truth that we spoke about yesterday. So please, s'il vous plaît, Monsieur Medmeze, please, all of you that want to come. the bride at the church is saying, come. So while they are coming, I would like to say that the 5 levels of truth that we went through are number 1 stage of truth, which is number 1 phase of. Okay, you want to start talking about it? Okay, good.
So the first stage is about the truths that I tell myself about myself. So that is on the first stage of truth. Then on the second stage of truth is the truth about others that I tell myself.
Louder, because they will not hear.
So on the second stage is the truth about other people that I tell myself about.
You might not
people.
even need to bend though, because you are bending now. There is a lot of space. Yeah.
So on the first level, the truth I tell myself about myself, and then on the second level is the truth about other people that I tell myself. Then on this third stage is the truth about myself, right, that I tell the world, the truth about myself that I share to the world. Then on the fourth level of truth is the truth about other people that I share with them. So, and that for me, I think was my favorite. Then on the fifth level of truth is the truth that, the embodiment of truth that I share with the world. So I'm just placing the truth out.
Any other person come, if you don't come now in the next 2 minutes, and in the next 2 seconds, you are out of this program.
So on the
and you will never come to my program again.
So on the fifth level is the truth.
Only you have to stand. You have to stand. People have to see you. There is a purpose behind every movement. Yes. Do stand in a way that people will see you.
So the fifth
so that
level,
people will see. Position yourself to be seen. Yes.
The fifth level, which of course we are going to elaborate and emphasize on tonight, is the truth that we place out there for the people, which is extremely phenomenal. Because this is a generation that wants to do everything but listen to the truth. We all are itching to hear things that we are convenient with, to hear things that suit us, things that helps us do our business the way we want to go about it. We want to do everything but evade the truth. We don't want to have anything to do with the truth at all. So it's always about what suits us, what is convenient. The truth is harsh. The truth is difficult. The truth is essential. So when we come to the fifth level of truth, like our pastor taught us yesterday evening, this is actually the liberating moment. That is what actually set us free, that liberates us. And this is one of the things why, one of the reasons why this is very essential, especially for my generation. I was discussing with my friends, that pastor is not just fighting the battle for his own generation, he's actually fighting the battle for my own generation. Because if he has shied away from many of these topics that he's talking about, either ways, somehow these things would still have affected us. And we would have had to confront them. Or the other option would have been for us to also evade them and also pass it on to the next generation. And that is the way problem comes. They say that a life will run like that for 20 years. And the truth will just stay by watching. But when we place the truth out there for people, even though it's not convenient, even though they may hate us for it, even though they may speak evil of us, they may antagonize us, they may fight us. But the most essential thing is that it has been placed out there and the truth is strong enough that it can defend itself. So let's say, for example, there is a truth about the nation, about the government, or about your own family, or whatever thing it is, and you decide to bring it out there, to the surface for the people. This is who I am. This is the reality of the situation in the community, in the nation. Even though everybody may castigate you for it, people may not like you for it. You may be the only, like, how do they say, like the black sheep, because you are the one that is standing out. But at the end of the day, the truth will justify you. The truth will announce it to the world. History will be good to you. History will be kind to you because you chose to speak the truth. You may die and die alone, but when the history books will be written, everything will be in your favor because you will be remembered. For 27 years, you won't imagine that Nelson Mandela was seen as a troublemaker. As a matter of fact,
As a criminal.
As a criminal.
A convict.
As a convict. At the point in time, his name, even till 1994, his name was still on the terrorist list of the United States. They still saw him as a terrorist. You know, that he was fighting, he was antagonizing his government. That was the way they saw it. But this man stood for the truth. I don't know if you can imagine what it is like every single day for 27 years, sleeping on the cold floor, small confinement. He was a tall man, but he was given a short room at Robben Island, you know. But this man was standing for the truth. He believed in the liberation and emancipation of his people. This is what every day he was given rock to break in the prison. See, the time that they said, in fact, he lost sensations in his palms. He could no longer feel on the palms any longer. They had been blistered. That was the price that the man had to pay. He had to put the truth out there. And at the end of the day, you won't a hero. He became a celebrity. By the time the man died, his death was like a worldwide celebration. Nobody has seen the world had not seen a man celebrated that way before. That is what truth can do. Another example I love to cite is Martin Luther King Jr. You know, as a man that was fighting for the liberation of the black people in the country, more than 30 times or about 29 times, this man was actually put in jail. He was put in prison for one reason or the other. He was seen as a troublemaker. His co-preachers, people who should stand with him, they stood against him. They said no, they didn't want to identify with him. He was a troublemaker, and he was forced to write a letter that was called the letter from the prison, from Alabama, you know, because he was trying to explain to his preachers why he had to be preaching what he was preaching, you know. And at the end of the day today, all of those preachers that even stood against him, that vilified him, we don't even know them, we don't remember them, but we remember the man who stood for the truth. Martin Luther King stood for the truth in his generation, and eventually when he was shot at the age of 39, he was already known for one thing, you know, the liberation of the people, the freedom of his people. So I don't know whatever thing it is that is in your heart to do, or that is in my heart to do, we have to stand for the truth. Now, it may not be easy. Nobody is saying it's going to be easy. You are going to be fought against, you are going to be threatened, you are going to be vilified, you are going to be put out there to hang and dry. But at the end of the day, either it's 27 years, like in the case of Nelson Mandela, or it's 50 years, or it's eternity, history will always be good to you. You have stood for the truth.
Truth will vindicate you.
Truth will vindicate you. Truth will fight for you. Truth will be nice to you. Truth will cater for you. Truth will cater for your children. Men like Obafemi Awolowo in Nigeria, and everybody wants to identify with that name today.
But he was in prison for
how long? He was in prison. He was incarcerated
for 6 years.
Yes, his own people stood. He was betrayed. His own people betrayed him. His own people didn't like him. They fought. It's funny how generations were.
But the same people later worshipped him.
They worshipped. Everybody wanted to identify. He became their hero. But when he was alive, he wasn't celebrated. Awo wasn't celebrated. He was not the celebrated person that we know him to be today. He was they saw him as a troublemaker. They said he was training soldiers outside of the country that wanted to break away the southwestern Nigeria. He wanted to, you know, and they put him in prison. But for the sake of truth, this man stood. Everybody knew him. He was a man that was far ahead of his time. He stood his ground for the liberation, for the development of his people. He stood for the unity of Nigeria. And today, everybody wants to identify with that name because he stood for the truth. So why in our lifetime, we may not even be identified, we may not be celebrated, people may hate us, they may stand against us, but one day, if we will not shake our legs, or it will not be shaken, it will not stand away from this platform of truth, will be justified. So they say, even though your voice is shaking, make sure you speak the truth. Your legs may be shaking, speak the truth. There was a story I read of a couple who they were in courts, and then the man had to testify. He had to give a testimony about a case, and if he spoke the truth, they were going to sentence him to jail. They were going to put him in prison. So this man was there, but he was shaking. He was afraid. He didn't know what to do, and he told his wife, he said, I know the truth about this case, but if I speak the truth, I'm going to be sentenced to jail. They are going to put me in prison. and he was afraid. He was asking the wife, what should I do? Would you want your husband to go back home with you? Or would you want me to speak the truth and let me go to prison? And the wife said that I never married, I didn't want to marry a coward. I never prayed to God to give me a coward as a husband. And this man stood up, went to the witness box, spoke the truth, and he was sentenced to jail. That is what it means to be a human being, to be alive. When you take a stand, and you take a stand for something, you take a stand with truth, you identify with truth, you place yourself out there, that I may be the only one on the side of truth. It doesn't matter, thousands and millions of people may do whatever thing they want, but I'm going to stand with truth. The one that is on the side of truth will always be on the side of God. The one that stands with truth will always be on the side of God. There may be thousands of prophets who are saying, go forth now, go down, go make this trip. Thousands of people may be lying. It doesn't matter what name they bear. They may be prophets, they may be evangelists, they may carry whatever title that they want to carry, but that doesn't mean that they are speaking. There will just be that one man who is going to say, I'm going to speak the truth in my generation. I'm going to identify with the truth. It doesn't matter if I have no friends. It doesn't matter if I do not have a family. But at the end of the day, truth will justify such a man. So that is what I have to say.
No, after you have spoken so eloquently,
yes,
and you did a great job, I must tell you that one. Which question did you answer? Out of the two. Or you don't even remember any one of them again.
So the question is... The question is about how this teaching has affected me personally, and what issues. I think the first question was about the issues that this teaching is going to address.
What?
The issues like.
I think you did a good job. You can remain standing, let the next one come. Oh, you want me to repeat?
Yeah.
Who is the rest now?
I did. Come on,
You are not an upstart or what? You are supposed to be upstarts now. People are saying powerful, Dr. Success. Yes, please.
Pastor, please, can you repeat the...
I was wondering, why is he quiet? Why did he come here and he's now looking at me? Okay. The first question is, what is your own general opinion? What are you feeling about this topic, the truth, the levels of truth that we have addressed this week? No, I've not finished. That's not the end. So what are you thinking about that? What are your feelings? What are you experiencing? What are you feeling like? That about this whole topic. What do you think effect is going to have on this? That's number one. What are you feeling about it? What's your opinion? The second one is, what do you think it will do to the society? What do you think it could do to Africa, to Nigeria? And then the third one is the fifth level of truth. What do what do we want to say? The one we discussed yesterday, which is the fifth level of truth.
Good evening, everybody. This is I.D. Peter. Doctor, first and foremost, I must say, today you say that you are getting older, you are an old man.
Not be today alone, no. I don't talk that one.
It's today that I was close to you, very close to you, that you said it. You are not old because the truth that you have revealed to us this week is living in us. My own generation, our generation.
And the truth never gets old.
And the truth never gets old. You have passed the baton to us. my generation, our generation, we will not continue in the dark ages that our parents, our forefathers continued. This truth that has been revealed to us this week, we will run with it. We will guide this truth. We will carry it everywhere. We will broadcast it. We will show it to the world. Because what the world needs the truth. Simply what they need, they just need the truth. So that even though they reject the truth will come back to vindicate us. So this week has been a week that I have been able to see that there is hope for Africa and there is hope for Nigeria, because this truth has been able
thanks to truth,
thanks to this truth, because we haven't heard it anyway. The only thing that we hear is the quotation. They just quote it, but they practice.
Quote what?
They just quote, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." That is the only truth that has been. But this truth that Doctor has been able to break down this past week has really solidified the kingdom of God. If you check out this truth, the kingdom of God is in this truth. The totality of the kingdom of God is this truth. Because you cannot escape the first stage of truth, which is the truth that you speak about yourself. You cannot escape it. You have to face. There is love and there is patience. And for you to move to the next stage, there is an empathy and there is love also. For you to get to the third stages of truth, which is the truth that you declare to the whole world, and even to the fourth that the fourth stages of truth that you have to give as a suggestion, not something that you will use to hammer to beat somebody at it. You must. This truth that we have received, Doctor, you are not just old, you are new in us, in every of your disciples. We are looking up to you. We will run with it. So, in the nutshell, this truth that we have received this week, we have seen the future, and the future is very green, and we have seen the future of Christianity in Nigeria and in Africa. We have been able to see the future through the eyes of truth that has been revealed to us, that we can never keep silence when we have the truth, that we must declare the truth, that we must speak it. We present it with love. Whosoever want to listen, let them listen. But if they don't care, like yesterday you talk about worship. When you talk about worship, some people were arguing with you. The person that was arguing with you, I wrote a lot of songs. I organized music concerts. Before I played drums. Also, I was into music. But one thing shocked me when God said to me, when a bird flies, that is worship to me, because it's fulfilling the very purpose of creation that I created the bird. When the tree brings out its fruit, that is worship to God. When fish is swimming in the water, that is worship to God. So our life, the truth about worship is that when we fulfill purpose, when we are living the purpose of God every day of our life, that is worship to God. It will be an insult for my God, for somebody to say we go to church to worship. It's the greatest insult of all. So, Doctor, thank you for this truth, because you have been able to really open up our eyes of understanding.
Excellent.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bamishai Victor, and I would like to start with this. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead, but it really doesn't matter with me, because I've been to the mountaintop. And I don't mind, like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. and He's allowed me to go to the mountaintop, and I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we, as a people, will get to the promised land. I'm so happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Do you know who said that? Do you know who said that? Do you know where that was said?
They should all know it.
Let's hope you know. This was the truth of a man starting from the first level. The truth that he has been able to tell himself. The truth that he has been able to see circumstances that happen, seeing that people love longevity, and people who stand for the truth often die young, and he's been able to communicate that truth to himself. And then he can boldly communicate that truth to the world, the third level. And then not to force them, but to convince them to forge ahead, is communicating it on the fourth level. To say, don't worry, keep going, keep moving. But I think the substratum of it all is the level 1, which is the most important. Because if one cannot tell himself the truth to himself, he would hardly ever be able to tell the truth, not to anybody, neither to the world. Because truth is the substratum of self-concept. Self-concept is the father to self-expression. And without self-expression, man is lifeless. So if man cannot reveal the truth of who he is to himself, he will never be able to express the truth of who he is to another person, and neither would he ever have the ability to express truth of other people to them. Because he is not truth, and whatever a man does not have, he cannot give. So I think the first level is the truth to self, and that is one thing I've held on to keep telling myself the truth. And if you find people who tell themselves the truth, they're hardly surprised by anything, because in the serenity of their thoughts, in the silence of their mullings, they've been able to tell themselves, they've been able to discover for themselves the truth. And you see, often in life it's been said that we do not see things and events the way they appear. We see them the way we are. And a lot of times, if you see problems in the negative sense, it is because you've never told yourself the truth of you being a solution. You've never discovered the truth that you are a solution, and that's why when you see problem, you should rejoice. But the day you encounter that truth and you're able to live in that truth, I think it changes your outlook. And so when you're communicating to somebody, you're communicating something entirely different. They may not get it because they are not living in that personal truth. But it's the level of truth that you can communicate what is your truth now, and you hope that it can convince them to see what that is. It is true then, therefore, that Jesus, living in heaven, to live on earth as a form, did not lose his truth as an essence. So to be able to tell himself the truth of I am the Son of God, and you find out that every time the devil wants to attack you, he first attacks the that is meant to be in your personal space. Albeit
the truth of your essence.
Yeah, the truth of your essence. That the devil, look at it in the first place, the fall of man. Let's go back to the fall of man. They were given instruction, do not eat this or you will die. And the serpent came and said, did God really say?
So he was questioning the truth.
The truth. The moment anything attacks your truth, it is attacking your essence. So he said, did God really say? And you see, we have to give it to women here, Pastor. It took 6 verses. The woman who was not even giving the instruction was arguing with the devil. Mm-hmm. But when the man came, he just took less than half a verse. He just said, No I will just capitulate straight away, no questioning. The woman that was not even giving instruction was arguing. So again, the scenario played out after, even if Jesus did not know who he was. But how come it played out after he was baptized and it was seen by many, and the voice came from heaven saying, "This is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased," that he has been delivered to again the truth. The devil came and said, "If you are the Son of God, turn this stone to bread." Many of us thought the turning of the stone to bread was the temptation. No. The temptation was to test the truth. So if Jesus had tried to prove to him, that means Jesus did not believe his own truth. Because whatever you believe, you don't try to prove to other people, you just leave it. So the devil's life and circumstances, anytime they want to attack you, the first thing they try to attack is the truth. Because the truth, many times, is a testimony to your essence. It's a testament to your essence. So I think if we have more individuals who can keep encountering truth and keep holding on to the truth for themselves, it will be easier for them to communicate the other levels of truth. Or what do you think that a man like Mandela can come out of prison and still love? And still be able to love and say, we need national reconciliation. It cannot be a man trying to communicate just the third level of truth. It must be a man who has accepted it from the first level. And so when the second question arises, how will this affect Africa? I think it is until we have men who have been able to tell themselves the truth that we realize that they are not protected from the menace that is ravaging the continent. That they are not protected in any way. That they are not secured in any way. That all of us are in it together. It is until they are able to tell themselves the truth that, in fact, run to America, run to wherever you want to run to. There will never be a place where you will be the first citizen. You will always be a second citizen. Only, of course, you are in your own. And so when we can tell ourselves that truth, then we will begin to think of how to solve the problem and not how to run away from it. I've had so many offers of, Victor, come here, Victor, go there. But I tell them every time, I'm going back to my country. So everything I'm just trying to do is to live in the truth that so many times when God wants to deliver a people, he sends the deliverer abroad. Then he brings them back. If you want to question me, then you must know how did Israel survive the famine that was to come. He had to send Joseph, even though the situation may not be favorable. How did God bring the Israelites out of Egypt? He had to send Moses, even though the situation may not be favorable. How did Jesus, in fact, survive? Herod had to do something and they had to go out of Israel and had to live in Egypt. And there was trained. He was called professor because of the intellectual capacity he had. I mean, he displayed. So, living in that truth, I'm able to tell myself that I am just under training and I must go back as soon as possible. But I must live in the reality of that truth, not to be discouraged by the system I'm still going back to meet at all, because it's going to stand as a challenge. So it is when one lives in that reality himself that he can do exploits in the face of challenges. And I think the third question, so I don't miss it, the fifth level, the truth you speak to the world. Like I said again, I think for me, the fifth level, everything still boils down to the first level. Because after you've spoken the fifth level, everyone still tries to drill into what is the core of your being. What do you really represent? And it always boils back to the first level. Because how many times have we heard people speak? And the truth is, I tell people, someone asked me that, do politicians lie when they make promises? I said no. They don't lie when they make promises. They lie only after their tenure has ended and they've not done it. Because what they made in the first place was a promise. Anyone could fulfill the promise at any time. And the reason why you bought it is because you have an expectation. So when they communicated to your expectation, that was not a lie. It was a truth. It was, the promise was what you needed. It only became a lie when the tenure ended and they never did anything. So, and very fast you realize that what was a truth has now fast become a lie. So I believe that the fifth level is not really about what you say to the world, but who are you to the world. When everything has, every dust has settled and they now check the core of your being, would they find truth? Or are you just a commentator of truth? A lot of people talk these days, and it's not just about the talk. It's about who can you be, even when you are not allowed to talk. Pastor has told us about the pastor who was preaching more even after his tongue had been cut off. So who are you in the real sense? And that's why I believe the first level, which is, and you put it rightly, the first level is the substratum of everything, is the most important. It will give rise to to the expression of any other level. So to be able to tell ourselves the truth, to encounter the truth. And I think that is really important. I could talk on and on and on and on and on and on, but the most important thing is that you personally encounter truth, and that encounter will express itself in every facet of your life.
Good evening, BSA family. Pastor Obi Ojimadi here. Well, I was almost like trying to charge my younger brother here, Victor, for particularity. It's like he took more than 70% of what I wanted to say. It's like he stole my lines, but that's fine. The levels of truth. The foundation is the most important, the basics. And that's the first level, the truth you tell yourself. The problem that we have in this world today is that a lot of people jump from nowhere to the fifth level, trying to tell the whole world how it should be, the truth. And when people weigh them, put them on the scale, weigh them first, the truth, so-called truth they are talking about, and weigh their first level, it's like there's no balance there. And then that's where credibility is lost. And that is why some other people who come out there to speak or to say the truth on the fifth level, when people look at them, or maybe they believe that, yes, the first level, they are good and they are credible. And when they can now misuse that, leap into the fifth level and now start misleading people, have their own truth. So that is why the first level is the ultimate. It is the foundation on which the rest, stands. Now, the truth you tell yourself about yourself. You cannot give what you don't have. So you have to build yourself first. Tell yourself the truth without emotions. You weigh yourself. You tell yourself. You be sincere to yourself, and you be ready to take responsibilities. That's when you can purify yourself and say, okay, this is who I am. I'm clothed or I'm naked or I'm halfway. And now, the next point, the next level being the second level, for me becomes the next level becomes the level that now compares you. Now, when you look at somebody else's situation and now you use it to evaluate yourself, it becomes a scale and for evaluation. Now, you go like, wow, where have I been? You now weigh yourself. Not people weighing you now. You are doing that yourself. So that either sends you back to the drawing board, or it affirms that, yes, you are standing there. Or you might need to make some adjustments. So these first two levels are very, very important for every person. Your fifth level, when you are stuck in there, would always be weighed with the first level. And you cannot be sure of your first level if you haven't tested it with the second level. So personally for me, after the first lesson about the first level, I had to get my searchlight and beam it on myself first. Again, searching myself, have I been telling myself the truth?
Then I start moving to the next level, comparing with some other people. Things that's happened to them. And I ask myself, how could I have handled this? This is what they did. Could I have done the same thing? Am I lagging behind? Am I running way ahead, maybe to the 4th level, when my first level is not really strong enough? For me, it was an eye-opener. Like I said, I got out my searchlight and beamed on my head. So for me personally, it became another evaluation period, another evaluation lesson, where I now have to be sure to affirm that yes, the foundation that I'm standing on, which is my own truth, the truth I'm telling myself is correct. So based on this, I can now move over to the 3rd level, 4th level, and the 5th level, stand firm and tell the whole world, yes, I came here to be a witness to the truth. So how would this help the world, Africa? Why not? Like I said, for me, in my own case, I had to weigh myself. Let this be a point where people should go back and kind of relax, weigh themselves, ask themselves questions. Where have I been? What am I standing on? On soft ground, on the sand, or on the rock? What's my truth? Is it just in air? Everybody, small and big, the pastor and the mentor, the members, whomever they are, it's a period, a time where they will need to go and evaluate themselves. So that when you are speaking, when you're on the 5th level, you believe that you're on the 5th level, you are representing the truth. Make sure that your first level is solid. That is what is going to help people. And people who are already sure of themselves, new people will rise and say, oh, okay. And they can now look at those ones who've been there so-called on the 5th level and understand that it's all a mirage. People can get up and speak up. People can now know where the truth is. They can now weigh their 5th levels with the 1st levels of the so-called people who are bearing witness to the truth, or who've been telling them the truth. Now, the 3rd question.
5th level.
The 5th level. The 5th level is that is ultimate goal, I would say. Once you're already on the strong ground, your first level is perfect. You've searched yourself, you've built yourself. Now, the ultimate goal is not just the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. You have to throw it out. You have to stand firm. Stand by the truth. Whether you are in Nazi Germany, or you are in apartheid South Africa, or whether you are in the US then, during the civil rights movement, or you are in pre-colonial Nigeria, you stand for the truth. And you proclaim the truth. So, all the levels of truth you pass through them, and the ultimate message, the goal, the purpose, is for you to get to the 5th level and proclaim the truth to the world. So that is the ultimate goal. That is the ultimate message in this whole thing. So for me, it's been another learning period. I've searched myself. I've weighed myself. And like they say, like Christ said, if you hold forth to my teachings, then you are my disciples. And then you will know the truth, for the truth shall set you free. So from the 1st level, when you know the truth, it shall set you free already from the 1st level. I am adapting it to this particular scripture. And then you can move forward. So that when you get to the 5th level and you are talking, you know that you are free because you are talking from the truth. And you can proclaim the truth. Thank you, everybody.
I'm not through with you guys. I still have other questions I have for you. The next question that you have answered the first few questions I had. The next question I have is that how will you people combine this particular series on the levels of truth with the series that preceded it? The series about the plague of silence. So how can we change a continent, change a nation? And how do you personally plan to change a nation and change your generation? Thanks to the combination of these two things, the plague of silence, and then the levels of truth. Anyone come forward, please.
Thank you so much for that question. I think the truth is never hidden. The truth is always like the light, always shining. And so wherever you see a truth not spoken, is like a light that has become darkness. And the Bible itself gave that scenario, that how great is that light. So how great is a truth that is silent? I don't think it's any longer, because I don't think it's becoming a truth any longer. So the truth can never be silent. The truth is always there. The truth only sometimes, and not just sometimes, every time, needs a voice. It needs a voice.
By the way, if you people have not yet shared this is part of the voice. If you have not shared the message yet, please let's go ahead and look for look for the button to share the message. Look under your video, you'll be able to share it. Please go ahead and share the message. Go ahead and share this video.
Yes. So it's part of you using your voice to voice your choice. No pun intended. All right. So the truth is always looking for a voice, and the question is, are you going to be, am I, no, I should not be talking to you, am I going to be the voice of truth, the voice of reasoning, the voice of intellect, the voice of the voice that is dear for the people? And many times my answer has been yes. Some other times I've also been scared, but now the truth is, when you encounter the truth in its real self, you find out what is and what is not. You find out what is major and what is minor. Then you're able to decide within the parameters of truth how to live your life. For example, when you realize that people who live for truth never die, then you'll never be scared of your transformation from this earthly world, this materialistic world, to an immaterial one. Because those who have ever stood for truth are never forgotten. Those who are forgotten are those who never stood for truth. Those who never used their voice to speak for truth. Everyone who has spoken for truth are never forgotten. That is what it means when they say posterity always judges. Posterity is the judge of truth, but it comes later in the future. And I've been to so many places that things happen, and one of the things I'm ever grateful for is that I don't have any regret. There has never been anything that I said that I wish I said this. I don't think I give that chance. But even more, as I progress, as I grow, there are more controversial issues that are going to arise, and one will want to be diplomatic. And I'm learning more that I need to speak. No matter how controversial it is, I need to speak. Now, it may come to the place of being strategic with speaking the truth. It may come to the place of speaking the truth with love, not sugarcoating the truth, but speaking it with love. But the truth must be spoken anyway. And the question is, would I derive pleasure? Would I accept the privilege of being the vessel through which the truth would be spoken? And to that I say yes. And to those of you who want to be like me, I say yeah.
There is the second aspect of that question.
Yes, sir.
The first aspect is what you answered. How will you connect the plague of silence and this level of truth, and maybe not even level of truth, but the power and force of truth? And how will you, what are you doing? That's the second part of this question. How will you yourself, how are you yourself already living this truth out? Because the truth is not what you should know, it's what you are, what you live. So how have you been practicing these, or how do you plan to practice these two combinations of revelation that has come to us these few weeks? The plague of silence, and then the power and force of truth. How have you been living this truth? or plan to.
Yeah, those
So use it to change the world, the
Yes, yes.
society.
Those who are well familiar with me will know that guy who doesn't keep silent. But far more, I've learned again this week that beyond speaking is speaking the truth. So I have decided to keep digging deep into truth. So no matter what the subject of the matter is, before I speak first, the first thing I'm interested in is my message that I'm going to speak going to be true? That's the first thing I want to know. So if it's going to be true, how deep into the truth can I go before I speak, so that there will be no challenge? You know, at the end of the day, when things are challenged and time will reveal what is true. Some people have spoken in the past, and when you speak, when people want to challenge it and they still keep challenging and they still keep meeting, is the truth, is the truth, is the truth, is the truth, is the truth. One day they will be tired to find out that actually this truth is endless. So for me, the first thing is to get into the depth of truth. In fact, to immerse myself into the truth of any subject matter. So if it's in the area of politics, to know the truth in that area. If it's in finance, to know the truth in that area. And when truth comes, it is a force. It's something that cannot be battled. So, and then to merge it with the area of the fact that the truth cannot be hidden and it's only looking for a voice, and I will be that voice.
In what sense have you been that voice, or will you be that voice?
Yes, I have not been keeping quiet in the sense of social injustice, and lately we are speaking against the menace of...
Mention your platform or your instrument.
The instrument we have now is social media, so we use the power of the social media we have and our followings on Facebook. And this coming week, I'm going to get another professional camera to really start recording and be throwing it in beats. So we'll be throwing it out in sound bites of 1 minute. We share the truth, drop it there, and we know the power that we produce. So that's exactly what we are doing. So like this week, Anu has really been working on the manipulations of offering in church. We took it head on last week, and we are also not just talking about the problem, but we are offering solutions. And part of the solution, especially to those who are following, you notice that we're not just telling you about how not to spend your money uselessly. We are also trying to help you find how to make money so that you can work for kingdom advancement, because we know you cannot use for kingdom advancement what you do not have. So that's what we are doing. So getting into the truth of how can you get wealth for yourself, and how can you use that wealth. So, and how is it possible that you cannot be manipulated to drop the proceeds of your wealth? Because the thing manipulation feeds on is expectation. There's actually something you need, that someone has told you that if you do this, then you will get this. But what if we can help you reconstruct it and know that, and change that expectation, and let you know that you are not, God does not operate on what's this Ponzi scheme. Yeah, there's no divine or supernatural Ponzi scheme. You don't invest in it and expect such returns. God doesn't operate that way. So we can then help you change and rechannel your expectations. And if that has happened, the channel with which they used to exploit you and manipulate you will no longer be there. And so that's what we've been doing, raising our voice through the platform and instrumentality of social media. And yes, we'll keep doing that, because that is, I mean, there are 2 billion people on Facebook. Can you imagine? So, I mean, that's the biggest country right now in the world. So we keep speaking.
The biggest church.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Who is the next one? Do you remember the question, or I need to repeat this time?
I remember the question. Okay. How we will possibly connect this series of truth with the plague of silence. And
then what you are doing already?
Yes, what I am doing already, or what I'm planning to do. Doctor, I sincerely want to thank you so much, because the series has been planned timely. It has been planned timely, first of all, so that people people will wake up from the mirage of silence, of deception, that they cannot speak, that only so-called men of God, the anointed men of God, are the only one that will speak for everybody. And they hide under the umbrella of touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harms. So last week, those myths was tear apart. You open our eyes to see that every one of us are anointed. That we were anointed even in the womb of our mother. You quote a Bible passage in Jeremiah chapter 1. And as a good Bible student, I remember it's from verse 4 that the Bible starts to narrate that every one of us, we are anointed. So, the truth in connection with the plague of silence, we will not be alive, and history will not vindicate us if we don't speak out once we encounter the truth. Because the truth is alive. We are the truth. The Bible says that blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And then that is when you make romance with the truth. When you make romance with the truth, with your purity in heart, that is when God become a flesh, when God become flesh in you. And with the knowledge of the truth, you'll be able to speak out, because the truth needs the voice to speak out. The truth needs a pen to be penned down. A truth needs a platform to reach the hands of the earth. The truth needs to be shared abroad. The truth. Someone needs to listen to the truth. Someone needs to read the truth in every media. And what I am doing right now, I'm using social Facebook. I am live on Facebook to speak about the menace that we are having in Africa, the organized religion that we have in Africa that has been able to enslave billions of people. So my generation will not keep quiet and let history not vindicate me if I commit the sins of silence. I refuse to keep quiet because I have been enlightened. For my eyes have seen the glory of the Lord. For my eyes have seen the promised land. For the truth shall not and can never die, and it will never die. That is why we will continue to speak. And that is why, and one of the area I want to really advocate is women inclusion in everything in Africa and in Nigeria. Until women has been given a place, a pride of place in our country and in our continent, I am sorry to say that we will never attain development. We will never go nowhere, because when I was studying in Belarus, I understand that coming from the background of, I was a social science student, so I had some difficulties understanding maths. So my lecturer, he appointed 2 of his students to take me on a special class. One was a girl and one was a man. But it will shock you to know that the best of them that taught me was a lady. So in my judgment, I see that most African women are so clever, and their opinions, had it been that we listened to their opinions, Africa would have been a glorious place. Nigeria would have been a pride of place. But because of this so-called culture that women are not supposed to speak, or their opinion is not needed when national issues or family issues. So that is why Africa is in the place of menace it is now, and Nigeria also. So I am raising my voice on the social media, also on the menace of churches that we are having. In every street in Nigeria, you have 3 churches. We don't have any library in all the streets. So I am looking forward to use the social media. I want to use social media and also to inform my government that they don't even need to build all those things. Is to just convert those churches to libraries. It's public money. Is the people that build the place. So that children who don't have children that don't have money to access education, they can have place to access education, and also libraries. Until I travel to Europe, that I have been able to see I can spend much of my time in library. But in Africa, we don't have libraries. And also I'll be using my platform also to broadcast that we don't need the study. We don't need CRK or Islamic studies in our school curriculum. What we need now is coding. That is what I want to use my platform to broadcast, because everything now in the next 10 years, everything will everything is coding now. Everything is digital. We are living in a changing world, the world that is changing at the blink of your eyes. So if we get that done, we will be ahead of some countries. So, Doctor, once again, I really want to appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do I need to remind you the question, or you remember?
I remember. The first question is on how I am going to relate the plague of silence that I've come to understand with the last session on the levels of truth. What I'm going to do, or what I've chosen to do, or what I'm going to relate to that, is that in every generation, especially, there will always be the attempt of darkness to always try to overpower the voice of truth. Mm-hmm. So what I've chosen to do, by the grace of God, is to be the voice of truth in my generation, to always stand on the side of truth. Like Jeremiah said, that I've got this fire in my bones that is shut up in my... He said, I've got this fire in my veins. I cannot keep quiet. I cannot be silent. So because I've got fire in my veins, I cannot be silent. I've come to understand that silence is a plague. Silence is a vice. Silence is evil. So it's evil for me to see anything that I know this is not light, will not glorify God, and not to say anything about it. My approach is, like Solomon said, he said, buy the truth and sell it not. So my first task for myself is, first of all, to be grounded in the things that I proclaim, to be too convinced, because like I said earlier, what will make a man every day of 27 years to be in prison and not change his voice for one day, and not come out to apologize and say, I'm sorry, I was drunk, that was why I said what I said.
No, being offered liberty many times.
Sir?
Even though being offered liberty.
Yeah, it was offered liberty. It was asked, if you wouldn't make any trouble, we are just going to let you go.
To compromise with the truth.
Compromise. Just, we
or
are not saying,
just
leave your people, leave all of the people behind. We'll give you asylum. We'll let you escape to other places. But this man will say no. Every day he was convinced. That is character. That is conviction. So it's for me, first of all, to be grounded in this character, in this conviction, that if a gun is put to my head, I will still proclaim what I'm proclaiming. I will still stand for the truth. So I know that it takes a lot of, like I think, like Victor said, a lot of self-realization. That brings us also to the teaching of who am I? Self-realization. It's just, a lion is a lion anyway. It's not trying to be a goat or trying to be a dog or trying to look like a tiger. It's just being himself. So that self-realization, who am I? Every place that I get up, I just show up. I reveal who I am in that environment. So I'll be like somebody said, like a coffee. When you put it in water, it changes the color. You know, it's just unveiling itself, and it changes the atmosphere, the color. So that is what I've chosen to be grounded in who God made me. I know that success is a name given by my parents, but there's a name that heaven calls me. So first of all is to know what heaven calls me here on earth, and to every day reveal that to the world, that solution to the world. So it doesn't matter in what continent of the world I am, it doesn't matter whichever way the problem presents itself, I will just always be the voice of truth, the voice of solution. So that is my my approach to that. How have I started this? What am I doing concerning this? By working very, very strongly on myself. Every day for me is training camp. I take every day very seriously and very deliberately, because I want to really, really understand to the fullest who I am, who God has made me on this earth. I want to be able to maximize my existence, so that by the time I die, I want to be 100% released to the world. I want to have taken advantage of all of my gifts, all of my talent, all of my skills, all of my potential, everything that I would just die empty. So that is my greatest task. I think that for me is the most tasking, to every day live a life of discipline and focus. So that is one of the things I'm doing, you know, studying solitude, everything that I can do. And then, of course, I've raised certain movements, certain strategies, and certain plans that a lot of projects that currently I'm doing, either by myself, with my team, or with different people like that. And speaking out, I'm using my social media platform, everything I am. I just want to unveil myself. Either I'm on social media or out of social media, I want to unveil myself. I want the world to meet me at least once. I want everybody in the world to meet me at least once, either through what I write or through what I say, or it's whether I...
what are those platforms? You want to mention some of them to us?
Yes, I have a Facebook platform, which I'm definitely going to use to raise a movement. My name is on
you're
Facebook,
already using,
which I'm already using to raise a movement. And this is really working because I get a lot of feedbacks. And this is very interesting because even through the social media platform, I'm able to mentor people. People that I've never met, people that, you know, a lot of people write to me and they say to me that they identify with what I'm doing, with what I'm sharing. They may not be able to like or share my post because of fear, but they identify with my message, with what with the truth that I'm sharing. And this is very, very special, especially when young people write these things to me, and my heart is gladdened. So we are becoming a voice of truth in our generation. Little by little, we are getting together.
By doing what? You write articles?
I write articles. I write articles, a lot of writing that I do through my blog and through my Facebook platforms. I write books. I write anything at all that I can do to be the voice of truth, to let out my voice out there for people to identify the truth. My passion really is for young people. Is for young people. I don't see myself care so much about the older generation. Sometimes I really pity them. But my passion is for the young people. I don't want my generation to live certain level of life that the older generation subjected themselves to. So through all of this teaching that Dr. Sunday has taught us, he has definitely paved the way for us. So the journey has become easier for many of us. We are just walking in that light to become the voice of truth in our generation. We understand that men of evil are passing on the baton to their own younger generation, but we are also receiving the baton from our older generation, and we are going to stand for the truth. We are going to be the pillar of truth on the earth for God in our own generation. So this is what I've determined to do. It's a lot of self-resolve, because there are definitely things that will be intimidating. There are times when I'm wondering, am I really crazy? I hope I'm a sane person, because sometimes it looks like I'm just being a mad person, just doing the things I do. So that is more tasking to be resolved, to have that self-resolve, that personal conviction of art all the time, and not to allow my voice to shake at any point based on what I believe and what I teach. So that for me is, I'm going to relate the plague of silence, and I'm going to act on these things. I'm going to change and work on my generation.
Thank you.
Hello once more. It's like I have two things in my hands here. I have the plague of silence. Here I have the 5 levels of truth. You cannot talk of the levels of truth if you fall under the plague of silence. It is impossible. So, falling under the plague of silence, I will liken it to the fact that somebody has become inactive. We become blind. We become lukewarm. The scripture tells us that you cannot be lukewarm. It's either you're hot or cold. Full stop. So, as somebody from this generation who is handling the 5 levels of truth, then you cannot be lukewarm. So you have to be active. And that means you cannot fall under the plague of silence. Your talk, your movement, the way you try to say the truth using these 5 levels might be different from others, but you have to play your role. And once you have been set free by the truth, once you have fallen off from that plague of silence and following the levels of truth, like the 5th level, which is that ultimate goal that I'm talking about, then believe God will place you where you are needed. I'm a living witness. God will place you where you are needed. Christ came. He came to bear witness to the truth. He came. He did not, no emotions there, nothing. It was like, this is the truth, and that's how it is. So, you cannot, I repeat, talk of the levels of truth if you are falling under the plague of silence. That's why I'm bringing the two together. It's just not possible. What I'm talking about, God placing you where you need to be. That is the purpose. That is our purpose. We're here to influence, to spread the kingdom words. So that means God will definitely give you your position. I have, like I said, I'm a living witness. I am an example. What have I been doing? It comes into that next question. I mean, for years I've been attacked. I've been called names. I've been a lot of things said about me. Why? Because I refused to fall under the plague of silence. And I went and stood by the truth. And I believe that when you are speaking the truth, you can forget what you even said. The person can bring it back, wait. Yeah, it's the truth. It's a liar that will have to remember what he said. They have to put a second lie to cover the first one, the third one to cover the second, and it continues. Along the line, the chain will break, and the wind will blow him up. So, I have my platforms, and I thank God that God has placed me in a place, in a city, in a country, in a family, in places where I use that same it's like a God-given platform to say it out anytime. And that is why today, both on my platforms on Facebook.
Mention some of your
my main platform is Facebook. And thank God, God gave me the pulpit. And God gave me, I would say, children's, like my friend Waz used to say. So, and through them, they hear the truth. I get about 2 to 5 messages every day. Somebody writing or calling to ask, this is what I've heard, this is what I've been told, this is what happened. Sir, tell me the truth about it. Or how do I find the truth about this topic? So it's a platform that I am so glad that it's not just about talking. There are people who are already tapping into it. And there are people already also going out there and spreading it without fear. So my Facebook platform is there. My phone, it rings midnight, 2 a.m. in the morning, it rings, text messages, the pulpit. Again, I'm a pastor. I use the opportunity to proclaim this.
So pulpit, not just in building.
Not just in building. I mean, success knows we don't worry about building. We can take the whole church, go on a picnic, play with whoever is around there, and preach, talk, enjoy ourselves, and spread the word. We are not limited to the four walls. No way. And like I said, God has given me children. So I put it that way without wrong English, because there are people there who my wife and I, we reach out to, we influence. I'm not just talking about Christians. I'm talking about even Muslims, people who don't believe it. People, they look at you, look at your life, and know that, yes, I can always come to this man, ask him a question, and he will tell me the truth. Whether I like it or not. He can give me advice. And you cannot give somebody wrong advice. You have to give somebody advice based on the truth that you want that person at least to follow. And you cannot say that truth if you're not strong on that first level of truth. So I thank God for that. Like I said, God has planted me where I should be. And when you find that your truth, when you stand for it, God will definitely plant you where you should be. The Holy Spirit will talk to you. He'll tell you what to do, where to go, and whom to speak to. And he will give you the platforms at the same time. So, thank you very much.
I thought that was going to be the end, but I still have another question for you people. And that is going to be, you people, okay, some people are even writing now that thank God we're here, we're hearing you people, God bless you people. That they are very inspired by you people. Anyway, that's the short of it. But the question I have for you guys is this: you people are here in Ukraine with me, or you are in Europe, but you have a challenge in your hands. You have a continent to save. What are your understanding or thoughts on, is there any way being here, each one of you, I'm not talking about you as a group, but just you on your own, is there any way you as a person, is there any thought in your mind of how you could use this truth that you are learning, all these things that you people are talking about, people are being inspired, but the continent of almost 1 billion people, they are not even hearing it yet. Nigeria, of almost 200 million people, they are still, majority are still in that bondage. And the people who are celebrated in the country where you people come from are the people who are doing exactly the opposite. They are the ones who are celebrated. They are the ones that are known now. And they are the ones who have millions following them. So, are you people not feeling, what are your feelings? Are you expressing fear? Are you experiencing doubt? Are you experiencing that you are nothing and you are insignificant? Are you experiencing hope? Are you experiencing faith? Are you having strategies in place? Are you seeing something other than just you being here right now? What's going on in your mind and in your spirit about your continent and your country?
Thank you so much. The best mentor in the whole wide world. That question is so much critical at this point in time. One in the side of truth is already a majority. We are not perplexed by our size, but there is lioness in every one of us that is vibrating. One of African students, the first time he heard me speak in Belarus, in Minsk, he asked that he wants to see me. And 2 days ago, after watching my broadcast on Facebook, he wrote me that he's on the continent, Cameroon, that we can start what we had in mind to start. Doctor, permit me to remind you that the old men that did not believe in the truth that we carry, none of them entered the promised land. None of them see the promised land except Joshua and Caleb. By this truth that we know that it is only those who are in the sight of truth, and also those who believe that there come a time that the generation arise to take the mantle, to take the leadership, to deal the problems. There come a time that we no longer abide by the traditions of men, the way of their doing things. I so much thank God that God brought us from Africa to come and experience the light. God brought us from Africa to come and be mentored by you. We are not afraid. As I have said earlier, I have seen the promised land. I have seen African waking up. I have seen the whole world coming to learn from Africa. I have seen the spirit of Africa. The spirit of Africa is the spirit of never give up. This is the spirit that is called hope against hope. The spirit is called the tenacity of hope. This spirit is called the spirit that never gets satisfied until Africa becomes a pride of place. I am not afraid because the truth is two-edged sword. It always vindicates people. And it was Joshua and Caleb that was able to make it into promised land. Because God was protecting the generation, the younger generation, so that they would not use the same tradition and religious mindset that the fathers had. But God preserved our generation. We have no fear, we have no doubt. It is not by our strength, but by our unity, but by our singleness of voice, we will get there. We will get there. This is my belief. And this word I'm sharing to you is from my spirit. I don't have any fear. I see Africa liberated. I see Africa free from every organized religion. I see lights shining from Africa to the old world. This is what I see. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that question. For me, the way, in my perspective, the way I see it that is going to run, because we are not afraid, is like what Samson did to the feet of the Philistines. He got two horses, tied them together, set them on fire, and allowed them to run into the feet of the Philistines. And everything became raised down within a little time. This is what is going to happen in my generation. Few men just on fire for God, they are going to run into the feed, and everything that seems to have been set up over the years is going to be raised down. This is how it's going to be, because we are people on fire. We are people that are committed. We are people that we are not intimidated by the size of the enemy, the size of the opposition, the size of Goliath. These little Davids are serious about the master's business. We understand that we were born for such a time as this. For this purpose, when I was finishing medical school, I had myriads of options. There were different things that I could choose to do with my medical career. But then I knew that there was a call of God upon my life, So whatever thing, through all of my professionalism, through everything that I'm going to be studying, I'm going to specialize on and all that, it is going to be everything that is committed to the development of my continent. I told God to keep me away from anything that will not have relevance to the life of my people. So this is what we are sowing our lives as seed. We are sowing everything that God has made us and everything that we are going to become, everything that will be in life. All of these things will be to bring the glory of God and the kingdom of God to that continent. And we are not alone. There are many more people that are listening to what we are saying. They are connecting to this same spirit and they are going into the battle with us. So this is the way I see it. I see young people on fire for God. I see a generation of young people that love God, that will not serve the God of their fathers, that will serve the real and the true God. So this is how it's going to be for my generation. We are not intimidated. We are very, 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 very. This evening we were discussing about problems, how it is a shortcut to prominence. And this is a new understanding that old, previous generations might not have had. This is a very, very peculiar perspective. That if just maybe
That
2%, just that alone, just maybe 1 or 2% of the young people in Africa will have this perspective. Because the way I see it, Africa does not have problem. Whatever problem exists in Africa is my problem. Whatever problem is in my state is my problem. It's not the problem of the government. It's not the problem of what anybody did or what anybody failed to do. It is my problem. And I'm going to arise and I'm going to do something about that problem.
So that is another perspective. That's another key right there. And
yes,
you have the book in which you have to finish it, the personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility, yes. So
because what you just said now,
yes,
Africa is not thinking like that yet. Maybe you are.
Okay.
Maybe those sons, those new generations are. But we have to, I think, somehow quickly spread that.
I'm rounding up and working, doing the final things.
Yeah, but not just the book, but I'm saying you are right that it's my problem.
Yes.
And the whole continent needs to begin to think like that.
Yes. When just maybe about 1% of people begin to think like that, that alone will revolutionize the entire continent. When we know that the problems of the road, that, the problems of flooding, all of these
things.
It's not government problem. It's not the problem of government. Let's leave government alone. There's nothing like government. Nobody has ever borne the name government before. It is my problem. It is your problem. When we identify with it, when we identify with the problems, when we identify with the challenges and we take them on, the entire continent is going to be revolution. It will be like something that the world has never seen before. One of the things that African youth possess, which maybe, because I've studied with people from other continents, and this always stands us out. We are people of energy. We are always extremely dedicated to either if it's a good cause, you will see Africans, going all the way. If it's a bad cause, you see them going all the way. So when we channel all of the energy as young people in Africa that we possess, many more young people talking like I'm doing right now. When we have this, when we channel all of this energy to good efforts to take on responsibility in Africa, to revolutionize the system, to take on all of these things for ourselves, then within a little time, Africa will be the new place to be in the world. So that is the way I see it. That is the way. We are not intimidated. We are actually challenged. We are inspired, and we know that it is possible. It is very, very possible.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much again. After all is said and done, the most important question is what you've asked. How do we apply? And I think the first thing, like we've underlined again, is to become the person of truth. I mean, to become that truth. And so that everywhere we go and people encounter us, they encounter that truth. I can't remember how many times people have conversations with me and they get hope for Nigeria. They believe that there's hope for Nigeria. So many people say, if there are people like you, then there's hope for this country. All hope is not lost. Some people will say it's only people with integrity like you that I can vote for. So, and if the way you are mentoring us, we also can become people like that. We can become that truth. and we can become the message, I believe that a lot of people who come across us will also become that message, and the ripple effect goes that way. And I think that's how ideology starts. But the truth is that wherever truth comes, truth is dominant. So if we can just become an embodiment of that, very soon, in no distant time, the ripple effect will spread across the continent of Africa, and more particularly Nigeria, and the result will be clear. And we will become the joy and the envy of nations.
Thank you.
Well, what can scare us if God is with us? Who can scare us? Let's go back to the Bible. When Gideon was called, what did he say? Say, who, me? Who am I to save Israel? Who am I? Saul was called to be king. He said, who, me? Moses was called to bring Israel out of Egypt. He said, who am I to go to Pharaoh? And what happened? When you are called, there is no going back. And when you are called, the Lord will give you all you need. He will give you the staff that is needed. All these people that I mentioned, their names, they have their staff. Not just as staff of office. God gave them the powers through them. Gave them that comfort, the energy, that direction to move ahead and to fulfill the goal and the question that he asked them, the message he asked them to go and to do. So there's nothing to be afraid here. We might be the smallest looking on the men and women. We might be from small villages, there in Africa, everywhere, but no, we know who is behind us, and that is the most important thing. So the important thing is for us to make sure we going back to the levels of truth, knowing that we are on solid ground, we are standing on that rock, and then there's no going back. There is no going back. David wasn't scared of Goliath and his height and his armor and everything. He wasn't scared of that because David knew who was behind him. So we cannot keep quiet. The problem in Africa and the continent is so huge, not just politically, economically, talking about even religiously on its own. So why not? It is we cannot fall again under this plague of silence. So it's time for us to move on. If we believe that we are the movers and the changers, then we have to stand up and speak. And while we are speaking, we are speaking the truth. So apart from the fact that I'm already using my platform, the pulpit, my influence and everything, I've already started now going into the politics of what is going on in my own country, Nigeria. I mean, by Thursday evening, we're going to have a live Facebook forum called Nigeria, the National Question, to address the issues of things going on in Nigeria now. Burning issues that can tear the country apart. And thank God I'm going to have people from different tribes, languages, different religions of Nigeria going to sit down and talk. But this is what the so-called politicians are afraid of doing. Let us show them the way how to do it. Maybe here in our small rooms in Ukraine, they will get the message. There is no going back. Because why? We know who is behind us. We know we are standing on the rock. And we have to move forward. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you people have okay, I will say it in the words of other people. Let me say it in the word of some of the comments. Ogenetega Adogbeje, I believe God is raising you to raise sons and daughters on this platform that are going to go to Nigeria. Okay. These are revolutionaries. Paul is saying, thank God I am here. I'm part of this DSA family. Different kind of comments. Some people say they are afraid. Somebody said, great team. You people are a great team with in-depth wisdom of God. That God will richly bless you. Somebody said, we are going to plant kingdom churches all over Nigeria. And when we get there, and hand them over to kingdom-minded pastors. Many ideas, very good starts. But at the bottom of the day, I think you people are giving hope to people. People are seeing hope thanks to what you are doing and what you have just said. Iguma's son, he says, I'm a youth working on a project already on how to create jobs. We are going to raise up God carriers to go into government and do a lot through NGO. There is nothing impossible with God. Somebody said it's been a great time today. Yeah, I think it's a great format that you are able to. It's one thing to see people, but when you hear their heart, then you could paint a picture in your own mind about what God is actually doing in them, through them, and what God is about to do in the future. So thank you, everybody. Tomorrow, I will be continuing the series, and it's going to be very exciting. Look forward to seeing all of you. God bless you guys. Bye.